Lost Woods is an indie Bigfoot movie from 2012. So let's put ourselves in the right mindset. It's a little bit older, they don't have that much money to work with, and this project is a labor of love. It might sound like I'm prepping you for a bad movie, and maybe I am, but let's watch and you can be the judge. The opening credits are pretty cool and actually have to do with the plot. Some kids are playing with fireworks and the cops get called. There's a big explosion and they all go running, but one kid gets caught while the other gets away. Fast forward now to present day. Darren is watching the news about a missing person. Some boy got lost in the woods and the police have given up their search. Just then, Ray shows up. He invites Darren on a camping trip. When? Right now! His friends Lucy and George are in the truck waiting to go. On their way there, they stop and pick up Warren. Darren and Warren seem to have a past and things get awkward, but maybe this camping trip will help turn things around. They get to their campsite, set up, and sit and talk around the fire. George tells them about how what they write in comic books is actually real, just exaggerated. In the one he's reading now, a man was bit and got a mutated form of rabies that turned him into Bigfoot. So they're taking the Spider-Man approach with this one. That's different. The next day, they all go swimming and jump off a rock into the water. It looks fun. While drying off, they notice that the moss smells really bad, but they don't let that ruin their good time. That day, they do all the activities you would want to do while camping, shoot guns, going on a hike, the usual stuff. Darren kinda has a pity party for himself because his parents died. His friends all knew his family, and you can tell they've known each other for a long time. That night, they're all drinking around the fire, and Darren gets up to take a leak. Okay, so this was pretty funny to me. It turns into this big, grandiose song with all the guys joining in. I have to admit, it made me chuckle. The next morning, they're all out looking for Ray's dog when they hear a gunshot back at camp. When they get there, they see the truck's engine's been ripped out and George is impaled with a pipe. They tell him he's gonna be okay, but no, he's not. So now they can't just drive out of there, and there's a killer in the woods. Luckily, Ray has a ton of guns in his truck. They wait around for whatever killed their friend and eventually get to see it. The beast wanders out into a field. The group doesn't believe their eyes, but there it is, Bigfoot. Darren shoots at the creature, but he misses and it runs away, taking Warren. Ray runs after him, but gets his foot stuck in a bear trap. After they free him, the beast comes back for Lucy. Ray shoots it, but of course, he hits Lucy and kills her. Whoopsies. Now it's just Darren and Ray. Darren nopes out of there, opting to just walk home, while Ray sticks around to fight it. And that doesn't go so well. After a little fist fighting, Bigfoot comes out on top. Now Darren hears Ray screaming, and he knows he's the last one. He should probably pay more attention to where his footing is because he slips and falls. He's hanging on for dear life, but then Warren comes back to save him. Yeah, I guess Bigfoot didn't kill him and he was able to get away. Good thing too, because he pulls Darren to safety. Here's where we get a little bit of character development. So Warren was the guy from the beginning in the opening credits who got caught by the cops, and Darren was the kid who ran. Warren spent some time in juvie, then afterwards they never talked again. So the idea here is that Darren always runs from his problems instead of fighting them head on. The problem right now? Well, there's a bloodthirsty Sasquatch in the woods, and they need to take it down. They rig up a trap and use Darren as bait. It's not long before the beast shows up. He takes off and Bigfoot chases after until he gets his foot stuck in a trap and drug underwater. The guys celebrate, but they're a little premature because the creature comes up out of the water and grabs Darren. He breaks his back like Bane did to Batman. Darren tries to fight, but really, what can he do? In the end, he throws his radio and it lands next to Warren's, which causes some interference, and he's able to escape. Now, Darren goes back to camp to get some weapons. He finds a machete, then remembers that stinky moss. That must be his home, so he heads over there and waits in the cave. Okay, so far so good. This is a pretty typical kids in the woods Bigfoot movie, but here is where it goes off the rails. Warren gets up and stumbles away. We know it's him because we see his glasses broken on the ground. Then he starts to transform. Meanwhile, Bigfoot comes home, but Darren is ready. He stabs the beast, which Warren seems to react to. Darren grabs a gun and shoots the creature, and again, Warren reacts to it. Finally, Darren just cuts off his head, and a huge shockwave comes out of Warren. In the end, Ray's dog shows up and they wander around together. He says he lost 4 friends, but in the process, found himself. Okay, I have several questions. So Warren was obviously connected to the creature, but how? Well, my guess is that after it broke his back, it infected him with the mutated rabies. Warren started to transform into the creature, but the first Bigfoot died, so he died too. Sort of like if you kill a vampire, all the people it turned will die also. So who was the first Bigfoot? Well, it wasn't that missing boy from the beginning, because Darren says he found the body in the cave. So I was left all confused, which is a shame, because up to that point, it was a decent little film. It wasn't perfect for sure. George's mullet wig and Ray's fake mustache were an odd choice. Also, about the middle of the film, they just forgot to add color. Seriously, most of it's so monochrome and boring. Bigfoot looked okay. I liked the glowing eyes, but he was too much muscle for me. He looked more like a bodybuilder on steroids than a Sasquatch, and I've never seen him throw a punch before. I thought the movie had pretty good pacing. Once Bigfoot starts attacking about halfway in, it was on. I personally like the music too, but my taste in music hasn't really changed since 2012, so they got me there. If it wasn't for that confusing ending, they could have made this work. But they went with something a little different, and in this case, it just didn't pan out for him this time. I give Lost Woods 2 mullet wigs out of 4.